Not prepared. So good evening, FASA. My name is Beatriz Gamolo, and yes, I'm back at it again. But this time around, I added a word. I'm running to be your vice president. For the 2017-2018 school year. I'm a rising senior, a biology major, and no, my GPA is not 3.5 or higher. So sorry. So let me tell you a story that is not only current, but explains my next point. At the start of my presidency, I received an email from the Filipino Embassy asking FASA to perform for Ambassador Quiza. So I didn't hesitate. Obviously, this is a great opportunity. And I started messaging people asking if they can perform. I only had 3 days to not only learn the Tinikling choreo from Charlotte, from Pistahan that year, but to somehow convert a 20-plus people performance dance to one that consisted of 5, because only 5 people want to dance for the ambassador, apparently. That same week, I got pink eye. Don't ask me. The end, I'm just kidding. I remember waking up with like crust in my eyes, unable to get up, so attractive, making my way to student orgs and watching a blurry laptop screen trying to learn the choreography. A couple weeks later, we were asked by Tita Bing, a member of a bigger Filipino nonprofit organization named Katipunan, Anthony touched base on this in his speech, to perform for them too at the Filipino Festival. So this festival was at June, during the summer, so not only was it hard to find people to perform, but I had to restructure the same dance to accommodate for the people who were able to perform and practice leading up to the event. So something that I pride myself in having that is hard to teach is resilience. Not only was I faced with challenges I had to learn to overcome as soon as I became president this year, but we also experienced a lot of adversities this year. So our main source of income, the Ravens games, was unavailable to us. So we were already coming into an e-board with no funds, not having a sense of direction when it came to the extent of what we can and cannot do as an organization. So I was used to saying yes, we can do it. Especially as I start, like I said in my story, as I said in the beginning of my story, like I was used to, even though we had a short deadline, I was used to being able to overcome that. But being president this year, I was struck with a harsh reality that time may not permit an event from happening. So whether that was e-board dedication wasn't there, our logistics weren't plausible, or we just had no money in our account for SGA to even fund for it. We lost 2 e-board members this year. No matter what anyone says, every role in e-board is crucial. We had to figure out where they left off to know how to revive and continue our year. So sometimes we realize too late. You know, for funding allocation for Pistahan, we had American food and not Filipino food, so that obviously was a problem. Sporting events became less possible, especially since one individual running them, you know, is a hard process to do. And e-board was still trying to figure out why it took 3 damn long months for reimbursements for like $10. So we still were figuring out our ways. But to say I'm qualified is an understatement. Looking at the Constitution, I've listed the main responsibilities if I were elected. So 1, take over president position if needed. So I plan on having 2 terms actually after I kill Charlotte. So I think I would definitely satisfy that requirement. But if she, for some reason, survives, I'm supposed to manage fundraising events along with the treasurer. So as Charlotte said, we do have Ravens games. How we actually got that is we have to be under a nonprofit organization, and with pre-existing contacts, I talked to the Tita Bing from Katipunan, which is a nonprofit, and they agreed to not only fund for us, but let us keep all the money that we make. So I'm willing to work with the treasurer to help her understand, Catherine, help you understand how that goes along. Also with fundraising on and off campus, signing RESCAP forms, talking to Shani, which is this lady on the 3rd floor who does all the money funds and forms for cash blocks. I'm very knowledgeable about that. Manage committees within the group. So over the course of Pistahan, there are 7 committees. I was responsible of overseeing these committees and ensuring that we were meeting deadlines. Manage public relations. So we were fortunate enough this year to have relations with public figures. With Katipunan, we have Tita Bing and Tita Louise. If you guys are unfamiliar with them, they're on e-board for Katipunan, which is a bigger Filipino organization. I have Kuya Enrico, who we had an event with last semester talking about Amerasians. He actually has a nonprofit in New York City. The embassy and ambassador, we don't have direct contact, but they know of us, especially since we perform for them. And I'm not afraid to talk to them and reach out. So that's one of the main reasons we have Ravens games, is because of Katipunan. And if it wasn't for previous connections that we created, and for Charlotte too for emailing Ravens games, but for my ability to not kind of be restrained about my capabilities of reaching out, then we wouldn't have gotten them. Pangeo is also a thing that we perform for, and they actually asked again if we were willing to perform. Oversee cultural aspects of FASA. So we had a lot of cultural dances. I helped lead the ambassador performance, lead Katipunan performance, Quad Mania. I attempted to choreograph for Pistahan. I always brought up the idea of having tinikling sticks. Not only was that the only dance I knew how to dance, but it's also, a critical part of our culture. I attempted to create content with Nikki to better enhance the information presented. So that was with everything video related for WTFs, for potential food tutorials, which I'll get into later. And we also asked Kuya Enrico to speak about Amerasians. I know this year that we didn't really focus on education in terms of more serious topics. But we did touch on that last semester with Kuya Enrico, and I'm willing to expand more on that if I were elected. So develop and manage events and projects. So what I've noticed this year in terms of Pistahan is that it's not always about the cool events that people are in, but a sense of belongingness and purpose. So one of the things that I tried to express this year, other than my gratitude, was to give FASA a chance, to see what this organization can provide for you. Whether it's a simple getaway from life at home, I can relate to this, a flunk Chem 101 or 102 exam, or if you're needing a little stupid joke from me, Charlotte, Rafi, So I saw how excited everyone was after Pistahan. So he even came up to me about potential collaborations with future events. He also brought up about a solo. And also, Chris mentioned this in one of our EBMs, but people just want something that they believe is bigger than themselves to work together for, and the outcome is bigger than the process. It's seeing your hard work and efforts come to life. So why not implement that in the fall semester? So I saw the happiness and rush/high people felt after accomplishing something bigger than we all thought we could do. So I already booked a room for a potential sort of like small Pistahan for the fall semester. That's also going to help with Ate Kuya Aring, just because it's not always, like I said, about the events that you go to, it's the process to get there. So I wanted to implement that for the fall semester as well as it will be for the spring semester. I want to restructure how people meet their potential pairs. I don't necessarily liked how this year we kind of just forced it in one day and then expected people to figure out who they were compatible with, let alone date. So I feel like it should be gradual. That's kind of like something that's like it should be gradual, and yet we haven't been doing that. So I want to restructure that so that you actually get to know the person that you can potentially be together with forever. 2 years ago, we had Prank Week. I want to implement that again. Prank Week, my freshman year, was one of the main reasons why not only did I meet Noel, we pranked his room from my freshman class, but also it took the seriousness out of FASA. We tried really hard to implement these 4 pillars, but yet we lose focus of the fun aspect of FASA. Okay. My other future goals, I also want to reinforce the 4 pillars, but I want to broaden the exposure of FASA outside of campus. I think it's time that we take what we have on campus and have bigger exposure. So that comes along with partnering with Katipunan for Ravens games, reaching out to other nonprofits like Kuya Enrico. I was thinking every fundraiser we have, we donate to a charity. So not only are we doing a good deed, but nonprofits can see that we do more than just dance nickling. Like Buy and Box, collaborating with other D6 schools and orgs on campus, having a fun drive. So my last point is, why am I running for VP and why am I the best candidate? So during my presidency, I always catered towards my e-board and general body members. I made the effort to always listen, to be someone to lean on and seek direction if anyone became lost. I wanted to be the president and e-board member that was approachable, that greeted you with a smile and hope to make you realize how grateful and appreciative we all are for everything that you do for this family. I also wanted to help members realize their potential, giving them roles to push their limits and experience something different. I wanted e-board and general body members to feel that their ideas were justified, never too out of the box, and that their personalities didn't have to take a back seat. I mean, look at me. Looking at this room, I'm proud to say that I took the time to know who I was serving. I took the time to understand what the needs in this organization were, and that I shared moments with most of our new members, whether if it was a deep conversation or just a simple welcome to FASA. I'm always receptive to change and new ideas. I understand that FASA e-board is always a group effort and that I need to let other people be the drivers of the FASA car. Over the course of this past year, we were an e-board that changed the status quo, and I'm very proud of that. We restructured how e-board has worked for the past decade. We weren't afraid to make mistakes, carving up a path that we've only crossed, at least for now. Yeah, this may have caused us to be disorganized, lose sight of the finish line, and got our hands dirty. But we also unlocked so many doors and opportunities I'm excited to further explore along with the rest of e-board. Plus, we bought some soap and washed our hands right after. I've worked closely with Charlotte, with General Body, e-board obligations, and for Pistahan. As your vice president, I know that I will stand by your side, be your girl Renmar, supporting you in all the ways that I can, and reassure you when you become doubtful, as I know that is a very evident thing as being president. Yes, we seem similar, and future concerns may be why not let 2 different personalities collide to switch things up. But I'm confident in what Charlotte and I can do together. Having 2 e-board members from this year's board who have experienced failures and disappointments will allow us to come on top and have a very fulfilling year with the rest of e-board. To the family members from last semester, I want to be the Percival to your Merlin. To the family members from this semester, I want to be the Nina to your Marisol.
Questions for Ben? Chris?
You said you want to improve the pillar of, or most of the pillars of FASA.
Mm-hmm.
One pillar that we touched on a lot was education.
Right.
This year's Marienda was based on education of finding yourself, identity, and culture.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you have any ways to implement people going out to next year's Marienda to get more of attention? Because this year is at UMBC and not even a lot of the board members came.
Not only was that kind of e-board's fault for not advertising it, but I feel like people are receptive to personal experiences. Since no one really advocated that that event changed them and their perspective on who they are as a person because of our culture. But not many people also, like e-board didn't really advertise it. And also going back to what I said, not many people kind of expressed how it changed their life, me included. So I feel like if people hear from a genuine response from someone who had their mind and kind of had their minds changed because of an event, I think people will be more receptive to go. If that makes any sense, yeah, Roger. Yeah.
This This might be a loaded question, but I wanted to ask you because you are the president and you are the current president, and you've helped so many of us like realize how important FASA is to us. What does FASA mean to you?
Hey, ask you this question.
That's so personal. Honestly, coming from high school, wow. Coming from high school, my parents were they weren't very vocal in their appreciation for me, or reassuring me that everything I did, even if I got straight A's, was good enough for them. They always only said the bad parts. Even till now, they don't think FASA is going to help me be a PA or be something that will help me in the future. Coming here, realizing my full potential, seeing how far I've gone from a freshman who didn't even want to go to GBM to standing here as the current president running for VP, the reassurance that I get from everyone here, even when it's something small like good job on that GBM, it means a lot. And I don't look at you guys just for reassurance. I look at you guys as a second chance to kind of get that confidence that I wish I had growing up as a child. And if it wasn't for FASA, I don't think I'd be able to be the person that I am today. As cliche as that sounds, like right now I can say I'm very confident in what I can offer. I don't take shit from anyone. I know who I am in terms of what I want to do with my life and what I don't want to do with my life. And that honestly came from support and realizing that you don't need blood to call someone family.
Jerry.
I really can't follow that question, but so as a person who has been president of a club and then turned into vice president of a club, how would you not overshadow Charlotte if you see holes in her leadership?
That's a good question because I have thought about that because I am a very vocal person, but I was planning on being advisor this year, and so I was already having that transition phase of like coming in terms of my year has passed, I need to let other people lead, and that's honestly one of the main reasons I didn't run again for president, because I see so much in Charlotte that I know I couldn't offer, and let alone would be able to be neck to neck with her. And also Charlotte has a lot of great ideas that when she mentioned, even to this year's e-board, I was like, whoa, like, imagine if you were president, how much more it could do. So it's honestly just about accepting the fact that you had your turn, I had my turn, it's time to let other people shine, but also knowing that I'm not invisible, you know, like I can be there for her when she needs me, I can be her partner in crime whenever she calls for my name. But like I said, I was already transitioning into that phase of, you know, not being in the spotlight, and I'm okay with that. And I'm content with being in the backstage, letting her shine because I've already experienced that, and I know how fulfilling she will feel when she gets that turn, and like why not spread that, you know. Yeah.
In terms of next year's e-board, because a lot of the positions have already been solidified, what do you think your contribution personally, maybe in terms of like personality-wise, that you see could be improved with how e-board like looks from the outside? You know what I mean? Like, I think we have an impression of what people are going to contribute just from how you hung out with them, or like how we think they're going to be, but like in terms of the group atmosphere, what are you going to contribute? And then how would you improve the overall atmosphere?
Can you say this again?
Okay, Okay. How are you going to improve the atmosphere of EBMs? Let's start with that.
Okay.
Considering you're VP now, but not president, if you would.
In terms of structure,
Yeah.
okay. I personally do not agree with serious unions. And when I say that, I mean, I don't want it to be all business. I don't want it to be everyone's just having like a robotic perception of how EBM should be run, because EBM is about creativity and having a sense of comfort so that you feel like your ideas are not going to be shut down. And with the current e-board that are running unopposed, I feel like restricting them from that comfort and from that reassurance that whatever you want to say, it will be heard and will not be kind of judged. Restricting them from that is not only gonna like not reflect what FOSSA is about, but limit the possibilities of what you can do for certain things that you're talking about. For this year's e-board, I gave e-board members a chance to fool around, talk about inappropriate things, curse here and there, talk about Rafi. But I also, knew when to stop that conversation. Knew when to stop that conversation and when it was time to go back to work. And I want to let everyone know from my example that you don't have to be a certain way to lead. You can be whoever you are, your personality can shine through, as long as you know that you have a purpose to get done and that you know your motives are in the right path and you're not doing it for the wrong reasons. That's why I say all my puns. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your biggest weakness as president
Oh,
that you had trouble working on and could pass on to the next president?
Like my weakness.
Contribute that weakness to next year.
Like help her improve.
How can I improve? Okay.
Understood.
Like I said, this year's e-board was disorganized. I'm not even gonna fret. Like this year's e-board could have been better led by me and everyone else. But like I said, we carved our own path this year. I'm not even mad about it, to be honest, because we set a different tone for next year's e-board. What I would pass on to Charlotte is to answer your text messages. Because I didn't either, but to know deadlines. What I didn't know last year was deadlines. I didn't know Piston deadlines. I didn't know that you needed 90 days prior to make a big event from William Archer. 90 days. I didn't know that you were supposed to book rooms as soon as you were president. Like you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do in certain deadlines and time lengths. And if I were elected, I can definitely let her know that. And even if I wasn't elected, she was my intern, so I can definitely pass that along in e-board transition.
Tyler?
What plans do you have to integrate new members within FOSSA and I guess keep recurring members?
Like I said, I feel like people stayed not only for people who are genuine and people who are welcoming, but that sense of belongingness that you have in this organization. So I plan to have events that include everyone again, whether that's something as small as, I don't know, like, I'm not really too sure yet, to be honest. Like I said, the event that I have for the mini Pisahan this fall semester, just a sense of community with everyone working together again, and then showing new members. And just by like observing this year, how we get new members is by exposure, like random locations. So maybe if we just implement more events that cater towards like a bigger project, and then we have to practice for those in student orgs, maybe we can get people there. Also just having a welcoming atmosphere. As VP, I am responsible for member retention and for member recruitment. What I feel like this year that was one of my strengths is being able to make people feel welcoming and to not only just talk to them the first encounter, but to continue that relationship, not because I feel like I need their reassurance or their validity, but because like I genuinely want to get to know you, and I genuinely want to see what you have to give for this organization. And if you keep that momentum, and especially as VP, which that is my obligation, I can definitely